Alright, let's get started. So, yesterday, or not yesterday, but Friday, we were working on getting the basic setup for the City 2.0, and yesterday we had made it so that we have empty canister production if we have plastic input. And we also have water production if we have empty canisters. So the thing we're waiting on now is plastic, which is going to itself require fuel, which is itself going to require oil. So we have, just a couple more things to do, and then we'll be able to start turning these factories on, hooking them up to stuff and all that. So let's get started with that. So step one, we're going to go to this intersection and we're going to, I guess, just continue building this out back this way. And let's see, I guess we don't really need it to come around the back of this particular building. So let's do that anyway, just to have it there. So probably one more road section. And then an intersection. Alright, so now we need to get plastic. And also we need to... I guess the other thing we need to do is get this empty canister production, like... have a canister return and everything for it, which is going to be a bit complicated. So I guess that can be the thing we do now, is build a canister return. So it'll be probably just back here, which means I have to expand out this road. So let's get that road going along that way. This looks like actually perfect spacing to put an intersection in, so we'll put it there. And this one isn't quite lined up properly, which is fine. I'm just going to move over here and get rid of that. And get rid of this and put an intersection in here, and that should line up. So let's just put these roads in as well while we're doing this. And that's that. So we need the canister return, and I think it's just going to be across the street over here. So let's put a floor tile in and a truck stop on that floor tile, which will be build mode blueprint. And I think we want it facing like that as usual. Okay, so I have this. Now I need some space to actually potentially do logic for how we want the canister return to happen. Make it prioritize the ones being recycled. And I think we're going to give that a whole area this time. So if we put the floor tile there, then we can use this small area here just to figure out our inputs and outputs. I guess actually it's pretty simple, right? We just need a priority merger between this and those. But I think I do also want the whole collection of storage containers as well. Oh, I've been doing hard drive researches as well. Almost done with those. So let's just put in a couple of these. And I mean, 4 is probably more than enough. And so we want a sink as well, just to make sure that we never have too many. So we have all of these boxes, and we're going to put in splitters. And I guess they'll be smart splitters. Past all of these. And they will go right any center overflow, right any center overflow, right any center overflow, right any center overflow. So then we need a row of just spacing, and I don't want to use my AI limiters on those. And then we have another row of smart splitters, which actually I can just Control V and paste all of these in. And then make these all connect in. Alright, almost there. Alright, and now we take the center and we overflow it into the sink. And then we just have to do that again. Oh, and actually make these connections between them. That's obviously important. Alright. Then we connect the top lines up. And so this should make sure we have a nice backlog and then sync any additionals that we end up producing. And then we just need to merge them all back up again, back into their 2 lines. And taking a bit of clicking, but not particularly complicated. The only thing is our poor supply of encased industrial beams is suffering. Alright. Then we go there and there. Alright. And those are all hooked up. And we need a second sink for the second line. Which... is that really how that lines up? Okay, we need this to be closer to the back so that we have room to get the belt in. So this belt comes along down there. And loops in. So now any excess will be sunk, and we just power the sinks on before I forget to do that. And now we need to attach those up to this via 2 priority mergers. So we're going to have to take this out. And I think the priority mergers would just go like... I don't know. There. Does that work in terms of like, can I hook that up to the belts inside the truck stop? I don't think so. So let's then move it back a little and then up a little and still lined up like that. Now we get rid of the first one. And that works perfectly fine. And then we just need to do that again for the other one, I guess. So we get this. Please get me a nice little ledge to stand on, please. Thank you. Alright, so then that. And we move it out a bit and up to line up. Alright, but that is just a regular conveyor merger, not a priority merger. So we got that there. And then we take the output of this. And it needs to go into a splitter. Which I guess will use the same logic. Up, like, put it there, and then out a little bit, and down a little bit. Okay, that's too steep. So let's get the splitter itself already down a little bit, and then maybe move it like that. So then that does all of that. Alright. So that is all that. And now we need to set right to medium, center to medium, And then just take these two lines from here. And you go up there. And you go up there. Actually, let's have these go underneath the ground. Let's have these go through floor holes just to increase neatness, so that we don't have these giant things flying across the nice neat roads. So those go down there. And they come up, I guess, there. And that actually probably needs to be further back so it has time to twist around. So then that goes into that. Alright. Also, while we're here, we need this road to exist so that things can actually get out of this once they enter. Alright, but regardless. So we have that. We have one of the floor holes up. Then this one needs the other one, which can be there. And then up it goes. And this ended up going into the left, so we'll make left priority medium. Alright, now we just have to hook these floor holes up to each other. Which is going to involve going down a bit.
Your investment in your work. Invest it somewhere more productive.
Alright. So then we bring these down and onto this little platform here. And did I make these mark 4 lifts? I did. Alright, so then that comes down there. That comes down there. And we just hook them up. And canister return should be good now. So now it'll prioritize the returned canisters. And if we really need to, we can make that a second level and be able to return 4 belts worth of canisters. Hopefully we don't need that. That would be a pain. So yeah, we need to make that go out that way. And then come back in that way so that vehicles using these can actually get out. Alright, so that is that. Next up, we need to actually go and bring the oil over here. Or I guess the next thing we could do is plastic and just sort of work backwards. So yeah, let's get a plastic production set up. And it can be right over here. So we put in a floor tile, which, let's see, what do we need for plastic? We need to bring in fuel and bring out plastic and polymer resin and canisters. So we should probably have 2 of these. One, 2, 3. There you go. So this can be 2 truck stops of input. Or, no, this is overlapping. Because of course it is, it's in build mode blueprint. So I have to move this over here, right? And now that lines up properly. All right, cool. So we can have a truck stop to bring in the fuel. And another truck stop to bring in, or to bring out, rather, the empty canisters and the plastic. One truck stop for both should be fine. It should be fine. Just gotta wait for the encased industrial beam supply to recover. And then we can place this in. Click. Alright. And now we label these. Oh, billboards also require encased industrial beams. That's interesting. Alright, so then we need to get around here. So this is green. And we paste that. And we call it fuel. Input fuel. And then that's the only, we only need one side for each for this probably. So then let's go over here and so first this has to be red because that's the color scheme, and this is empty canisters, output empty canisters, and then this one, hang on, let's copy that and paste it there, and select icon, plastic, and output plastic. And that is that. Alright, so now we have to hook this up to the power poles, which is going to require the wire to stop halfway through. Alright, power attached. Next up is obviously building the actual spot where the plastic will go. Involves building the back line of these. And building that out there. And hello, how's the factory going? The factory is going well. We are currently setting up plastic production, and then once we have this finished, which should be pretty easy, The next step after that is to get the fuel production set up so that we can make plastic, and then get the oil in so that we can actually do the fuel production. And then once that is all done, we will have everything running and we'll be able to make iron ingots and fuel and plastic and empty canisters, and Factory 2.0 will officially be available for business at that point. So we are getting pretty close. Still a number of steps to go, but alright, so then this, we need to find, where's the recycled plastic V2? In case industrial beams, shortages. If I remember correctly, they're pretty close to me, right? The actual spot where they're actually made. It's just down there. It's working off of V2 blueprints, and it's also completely separate from the previous one, because the previous one had all of the problems that it had, and it was making it very difficult to work with. So those are the main two differences, is that they are separate. Yeah. Actually, does this need to be upgraded? Yeah, I think we have 120 rate throughput now. So yeah, that is fixed, so that goes faster. Alright, so let's get back up. Let's get back up here. Because yeah, I upgraded the dimensional storage recently, which means I need Mark II belts to keep up, and I've been using Mark I belts everywhere because I don't plan ahead. So I have to just upgrade the random dimensional storage things every so often. Alright, let's get back here. Blueprints. Recycled plastic blueprint. Alright, and then this is the front. Click. Am I planning on getting rid of V1? Yeah, eventually. Like, if nothing else, I'm going to get rid of the vehicles, probably. But yeah, I think V1 is going to get torn down once this is operational. Like, once V1 is obsolete, I'll take it down. Until then, it's nice just having whatever production there is still working. Yeah, the vehicles are, I mean, presumably not going to be great on lag for them to be sitting around doing nothing. Alright, so we have this set up for plastic. Now, yeah, the vehicles are doing all sorts of shenanigans over there, and speaking of all sorts of shenanigans, what is going on in here? Which of these outputs is which? Boy, I wish I labeled it. So, alright, so this is the packager. So the belt coming off of this is the empty canisters, and it goes up and around and in the far one. Alright, so the far one is the empty canisters. The middle one is the plastic. Cool. Yeah, labeling is great. Like, these billboards are going to make a huge difference, I feel. Alright, so we have, speaking of labeling, which one did I label which? So that one is empty canisters. And the far left one. Alright, so let's get this over to there. And into that. That's correct, right? This one is empty canisters. Yes. Cool. And then we have this one is the plastic. So it'll come up over here. And then down into that. And that is the outputs hooked up. Now we just need to hook the fuel up, which should be this far right one here. Let's see if I can sneak in and see. Yeah, looks like it. Alright, so then this is the fuel input that I have designated. So then that goes into there. Alright, and that is plastic production. And then the next step is fuel production, and then oil packaging, and then we'll finally be done. I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. So we expand the road out. And then fuel production can be here. That makes sense. Okay, we're low on concrete. That's no good. Time to go grab some concrete. Let's see, where is the concrete? Alright, so let's head over here. The concrete is somewhere in this general vicinity. And it may or may not still work. That's the canisters. So I think the concrete is this way relative to the canisters. Alright, that looks like rubber. Oh boy, the labeling in this section is not great. That's automated miners. It's not next to automated miners. Oh, is this it? Yeah. Alright, let's grab a bunch of this. And just a whole bunch of stacks so that we have it for later. And then we can return. And I'm really worried about the encased industrial beam supply. It might run out again. It was looking kind of low-ish. But we're just going to hope that that isn't a problem. That's one, that's two. This goes here. And then this gets that. And then this goes here. Why is it not lining up neatly? It goes there, I think. Yep. It's suddenly all dark and spooky, so I can't really see what I'm doing quite as well. Alright. So we have that, we have that. What did I need for fuel production? Fuel production was some complicated stuff, right? Yeah, so this is the one that I messed with the auto-connecting system because it was too complicated to use it properly. But we need 2 inputs and 3 outputs, one of which is just being sunk. So 2 truck stops should be fine for this. So that goes there. And it didn't line up at all. Despite being in build mode blueprint, it's refusing to line up normally. Why are you like this? Alright. Maybe I got it? No. Okay. There we go. That's how you do it. Alright, and then this is the inputs, which I'm labeling as green. And so let's hop over here and grab the layout. Copy that. Paste it. And icon. Packaged oil. And we go input packaged oil. And then we paste it again there. And we go input packaged water. And then this makes fuel somehow. Alright. So we have that. Then we have our second truck stop, which needs encased industrial beams, and we're not getting them at a fast enough rate because we've probably used all of them. Why does it have to be like this? I can, I guess, downgrade some of these belts to save on some. So yeah, let's make those Mark III belts on the packaged oil side. That still should be plenty and will save me like half of the industrial beams. Being more efficient by using your items, yeah, I guess. But the other side of that is I'm being way less efficient by having to sit around waiting for things. Alright, so place that in. And then put the billboards up. And these are two outputs. There's fuel and canisters. Let's copy. And then get over here. And paste. And paste. And then this one can be the fuel output. Packaged fuel, I guess. No, just fuel. And then this one is the canisters output. So we change that to that. Output empty canisters. Alright, and we're going to need way more encased industrial beams in order to make the actual blueprint. But I guess we can get started on it. So we put that in there. And then we put the floor tile in. And then we put that row there. And now we have to figure out just how rough this is going to be. Forget encased industrial beams. We're low on iron plates right now. And we also need hundreds of encased industrial beams for that blueprint to work. Alright, how are we gonna solve that? We can downgrade more of these belts. Like, these can be Mark III. Alright. That'll have saved some. And we need to get up here. I need to get turbo fuel at some point. So, alright. Belts downgraded. How many encased industrial beams has that gotten us? Like 110? Not enough. And the water is fast enough that like we actually kind of need it. Alright. Well, these ones aren't even going to be used because they're outputs in the input side of things. So we can downgrade those. And we can do the same thing over here. So this is providing resources to the factory. So all of the output sides can go down. Wait, no, that's one of the ones that is needed. The ones that I can downgrade are that one and that one. And their corresponding conveyor lifts. Alright. Up to 149. That's still half of what we need. So we're at 200 total. We need another 100. Now I happen to know that I produce them at 10 a minute, which means it'll take 10 minutes for that production to come through. I think we can do more of that here. So this also doesn't need those. And then this one, is this one just not being used, period? Yes, this left side is just not being used at all. So we can downgrade all this. And get some precious beams back. Almost up to 300. And then this side is inputting fuel into this factory. Which, we've already done that. Okay. And then we can go over here and reclaim some beams from this. And then this is purely output, so any of the input sides can be reclaimed. So that's this one and this one. And those two, which are not being used. Alright, I think we probably have enough now. Yeah, I probably shouldn't have designed my blueprints to use maximum speed belts in all circumstances when they might theoretically be needed. Alright, we have enough encased industrial beams. We need the iron plates, though. Why is it taking so long for iron plates? Probably hasn't been upgraded to Mark II conveyor lifts back all the way at the hub. So let's get over there and fix that. Alright, almost there. And we head down here. And yeah, there's plenty of these in here, but if we make these belts, just make all of them Mark II, and then I guess this one is not a belt, but make that Mark II. That should speed up most of our dimensional storage, including the iron plates. So now we just have to make our way back. So we just go over here. And almost there. Alright, here we are. So now we put down our fuel blueprint. And there we go. Alright. So, this, we're going to need to figure out which inputs go to where, of course. So there ought to be 2 unpackagers in here. Oh wait, no, that's not how this works. So we just need packaged oil is this one. So it goes this belt all the way back. Alright, packaged oil is the second one. Packaged water is the first one. Let me mark this down. Water is 1. Oil is 2. And then as far as the outputs go, we have 3 of them. Hang on. Ban a bot from the chat real quick. Alright. So as far as outputs go, we have this. This is the empty canisters, and it goes to this slot 6. Yeah, it's a good deal. You should take it. Canisters are slot 6. And then this is conspicuously Mark II, so I assume that it's fuel. Because fuel needs Mark II, so that's 5. And then the polymer resin will be this last one, which is slot 4. Polymer resin 4. And then 3 is not used. Alright, so now we just need to get these attachments up and also get the sink in. Alright, so I've labeled this one as the packaged oil and that one as the packaged water. It would be mildly more convenient for me if they were the other way around, so let's swap that. So now this one is water. Input packaged water. Alright, so then this goes there. This goes there. Alright. Canisters is slot 6. So that's the very last one, and then fuel is the inside one. Ah, fell off. Alright, so then this goes all the way around to there. This one comes up a little bit and then into there, except it needs to be Mark II at least, because that's how fast the thing is. Alright, and then we just need the polymer resin, which can go... Oh. I was too distracted fiddling with the hotbars to tap the space bar, and so I took a little bit of damage from falling. So this gets just like a random sink in the corner there. And, right, I'm in the wrong hotbar again. So this comes around and then into that sink. The sink is powered on. The various things are all powered on. Alright. So that is that. I guess... I think I didn't hook power up to the plastic one. I'll have to go back and fix that. But... in the meantime, let's get the power for this one. So in this side... And speaking of power... starting to get a little spooky. Just a little spooky. Alright, let's go and power the plastic on. So up we go. Alright, so that is all that. So now, if we have oil packaging, then we have plastic. And if we have plastic, then we have canisters, and if we have canisters, then we can do oil packaging. So now the last thing we need to do is actually set up the oil packaging, which is going to require a train stop and everything. So, I wonder if I got that hard drive. Looks like I did. Alright, so the next step is getting the oil train in. So let's go and see. I might just, like, keep the oil train I have, but just move its station to this side of the map. Or give it a second station on this side of the map, I guess. Let's head over to that station and see if we can just reroute it real quick. Alright. Moving along. And that's the water packaging. This is the oil supply. Yes, so currently this does this sort of a loop. Now, if I were to just, like, grab this train track and just pull it on over that way, that would potentially just solve all of my problems. Also, did this ever get hit by the concrete plague? Looks like it didn't. That's good to see, at least. Alright, so... yeah, I pretty much just need to take... Can I just fit an extra stop along the railway? Yes, I can. Alright, I need to get it down a little bit, because like it needs to go, because I'm building these stops underneath the factory this time around and not on the same level. So this needs to descend a fair ways. And actually that's, I need to actually confirm that it's like a shallow enough descent, so we're going to be using ramps. They can handle 2-meter ramps, I'm pretty sure. If not, that is just too bad, because that's what we're doing. And now the question is, do you think a train can fit into that gap? No, it cannot. Alright. So we'll have the ramp go down the other way. I would go down this way, where we have much more space. So this goes down here. And that should be more than low enough. So then it comes over here and it comes back and it has to hook up again. Otherwise it'll cause problems. Alright, so it can go that way. And then it can come back up from down here. And attach okay, so this is like a natural joint there. So then that go like that. So now it can go down that way, loop about, and then come back up into the loop that it was doing previously. So we just have to keep in mind that this way is forwards. And then this way is the return trip. Alright, so then we have that. We need to actually figure out what height this has to be at. So we're going to build the rest of this from the other side. Let's head over there, because we already have a train station over there, so we know how far down it has to go. Alright, over we go. And I guess we should set up that side of things and then just hook it up. So we go down here. This is the iron station. And this is how far down it has to be in order to work properly. So let's head a comfortable distance over this way. And build out another little platform here. And let's have it just go this way. So here we can have a train station, which goes there. And then takes inputs from that side and then loops around. So we need fluid freight platforms for this. 1, 2, 3. And we name this, of course, to oil stop. And then we just have to run the train line, which is going to go around. Which way does it use? One of these freight platforms is backwards. You get out of here. And you go back in. And, okay, looks normal. Alright, so now we have to run the foundation out this way, give it some space, and then come around back. Alright, this could just come along this way. And then we can hook it up, so it needs to loop up with this. These two need to link together, so let's not overshoot it significantly. And send that off so it'll have enough space. And then send that forward down the line. And we hook that up, and that is that. So the trains coming in will go this way, and then loop around, and then that'll be that. Alright, now let's get this nice and straight for once. And the way you do that is just by placing it down straight to begin with and then attaching it in. Now we just have to bring this train line along this way. We'll run the foundation along and then come back for the train track later. So there it is up ahead. Alright, almost there. Now the good news about spending all this time fiddling with trains is that this doesn't use encased industrial beams, so we're buying some time. Alright, so then this then needs to loop around this way. And come down. Alright, so that is far enough down. It's being kind of annoying. So I don't want to accidentally make this too steep. And this turn is complicating things, so we'll let it straighten out a bit. and then start making the turn. We have no shortage of free space, so we can have that come around like that, approximately. And now if we go down here, it should be perfectly fine. So that then curves along there and should be good to go. Now, at some point in all this, we need to merge this back up. So let's just do that. Alright, now we just have to make this railway nice and straight. And attach this one in. Apparently that's too close. It has to do a bit of a curve. Alright, and then let's give it a nice gap here. And that lines up, and it's perfectly straight for this sequence of track. And then we do that again. And again. And again. And again. And one last time. And that's all hooked up. So now we can go into the oil stop, set these all to unload, and go to timetable, and add oil stop into its timetable, and it'll come here and drop off oil. And now we just need to do something with it. So let's get over to this side of the train station. And give us some space here. It should be under organization. Industrial fluid buffer. No, my poor encased industrial beam supply. I'm using another 15 of them here. But it is kind of important to do this, I think. So then those hook up to those. And now these buffers will supply the crude oil for our crude oil packaging setup, which we need to make now. And let's grab another couple stacks of package fuel while we're at it. Alright, so the next thing we need then is we need a truck stop. We need one truck stop for the canisters coming in and for the crude oil going out. Can probably make do with a single truck stop total. So let's see where that is going to go. I guess we put an intersection there. and loop these roads along this way. So it's going to be a bit of a journey from the buffers to the stop, but it should be fine. It's not that big, all things considered. Alright, so then this goes 1, 2, 3 and gets a blueprint. And have the resources to build a truck stop. Thank goodness. So that goes in there. And then we just need the packager, which I don't know if I've made an actual proper packager Mark II, but it's not exactly rocket science. It's literally just take the water packager, change the recipes. And so this road needs to be longer. Alright, so that is that. Actually, no, it doesn't need to be longer. This spot here needs to be an intersection for it to line up properly. And it does line up quite perfectly, in fact. So then we can take this road to line up all the way down here and connect to this main street that we have going here. Alright. So we have this. One side takes in canisters, one side outputs oil. So this is the input side. And input will be empty canisters. Input empty canisters. And then the other side, just going to be quicker to do that. Load that. Output packaged oil. Text. Output packaged oil. Alright, so that is that. And now we just need to put in... I never made a oil packager Mark II blueprint. That's confirmed. So we can just do it with the water packager Mark II and change the recipes. We just have to make sure that it's on the right side. The inputs the inputs are what have to be on the right side. Alright, so then that goes back there. So we go to blueprints, we take water packager Mark II. Alright, so we need to rotate it that way and place it. Alright, now we just need so canister inputs and the heavy oil inputs. So this is the canister inputs. So just bring this along here. And then that. Goes like that. And make it Mark III arbitrarily. It's a decent size for a belt. Okay, I was on dismantle mode blueprint. Alright, so then that goes into that. And now we need to go inside and change the recipes. Where is the entrance to this? It's over here. Alright, so now we just change all of these recipes to packaged oil. And packaged oil is 30 a minute. And there's a couple of machines. So this would be 240 packaged oil a minute off of this. Forgot that that door was just overlooking the abyss. Alright, where is the entrance on the top side? Is there one? It might not be. I'm gonna break in. So let's just paste the settings. Alright, so this is 30, 60, 90, 120. So yeah, this is 240 oil total. Which should be more than enough if... Oh right, I also forgot to hook up the outputs. Yeah, I did not do a great job making this blueprint. I did not do a great job at all. So where... I guess we can put an output hole wherever is convenient. So let's just get these mergers in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, so that is enough for this side. And we need an output hole, which I can put there. I think actually in the other one we put it directly above here, which was kind of neat. There you go. And we also need a floor hole to grab the stuff from the first floor. So let's do that real quick. One last merger there. Attach all of those up. And then that into the output hole. Now we fly up here. And in through this door. So we have to attach this to that. And that's the conveyor lift. Packaged oil now all connected up. And then the last thing to do is power it on. Which, let's see if I remembered. Could bring power poles in this. Alright. Pretty sure that'll have powered them all on, or not. Alright. That the external thing is not connected to power either. So then we hook this up to any power pole I can find. I have to stop midway. Alright, now all of that should be powered up. And this should have gotten a couple bits of oil. It has. Fantastic. In fact, it's already full. so now we just have to do this. So having this as a pipeline mark II really shouldn't be necessary, but I can do what I want. So there we go, pipeline mark II. And now this should distribute the inputs across all of the train stops, just in case something weird is going on. Speaking of something weird going on. Alright, cool. And now we have to get this over there. Which is going to involve a bit of work.
Your tastes are questionable.
That. Thank you, Ada. I appreciate the advice. Alright, so let's grab that. And that's still too long. So let's see if that is still too long. Alright, so then that goes there. And we might need to pump it a little bit. And then the last thing we need to do is get this pipe up. So where's a nice convenient spot? Here is never going to be in the way of anything. Hello? What? Why is it trying to use thousands of... Alright, I don't know what that was about. It was trying to use like 1,000 copper sheets to build the pipe for some reason. No, I don't want this to clip. I want it to be... I want it to like come out a little bit. Can I do that? Is there a specific wall support? Alright, the wall support doesn't stick out at all, which is annoying. So what I'm going to have to do then... Actually, I wonder if I... wall support, hold, nudge. Huh? Alright. I can nudge the wall support out. Which I guess is what we're going to do. So then that comes out there. And I have to do that again. Or not the regular support, the wall support. Which we nudge out a little bit. And then up it goes. And into the hole. Alright, and then finally we just need to go down to the bottom here and add and connect this to that hole, which hopefully I'll be able to find it. It is relatively small. Alright, so then that comes along there. And we need to get closer. So this comes along this way and curves that way and does not snap into the hole for some reason. Don't know what that's about. Alright, we're going to dismantle that floor hole and try again. place it, attach one side, yeah, okay, no, we don't want that. So, what is going on here? So maybe if we attach it from that side. Alright. We got it to work. It was connecting to the wrong side of the hole for some reason, which is fascinating. Alright. What is this? Why is that there? Alright, we're just not going to worry about that. We're going to put a pump in. And I just drag that power line there. And that pump should be plenty to get the oil all the way up there. And yep, it's looking good. Yep, there it goes. And all the way up there and in. Cool. Now we just confirm by getting through this hole in the floor. Are these all filling up with oil? Yes, they are. Alright. So the last thing, we are so close to having everything done. The only steps remaining are, first, we need to set up the transportation lines, and second, we need to jumpstart this. So, I guess actually the last thing we need to do is get fuel to all of these, which, like, all these truck stops pretty much need fuel, which is going to be a huge pain, I think. So where is the dedicated fuel one? Is that this one? It looks like it. Yes. So we have fuel coming out here into the system. Now, if we do factory carts for fueling everything, that would require another truck stop, like basically everywhere. So the other option is we could just do belts. Like we could just do belts underneath the floor to run the fuel around. And that would also have the benefit of not having any buffers, so it would require a lot less fuel to fill up. And a lot more fuel could start going into actually producing stuff. I think that probably makes sense. So, see, this is the fuel one. Right? This is the side that outputs fuel. So, if we take these belts here, we can just like put, let's see, if we put a floor hole, so we could just like take that, put a floor hole in there, and then attach that in. Why am I having so much trouble getting it to stop on the right value? Alright, so now this would give us access to fuel beneath the factory. And we could run it into probably just the most relevant stops. So, like, what would it need? What stops would need it? The ore depots would need it. The iron would need it. The canisters would probably need it. Alright, so let's bring fuel to ore, canisters, and ingots would probably be logical. Is there a way we could not do that? We could just have... No, having a central refueling where all the vehicles go through here would just be a nightmare in terms of congestion, which we would like to prevent. So yeah, let's just send fuel to all of these. So that gets a floor hole there, which would go up there, and in that, and that is the oil. So then the next one we would need to set up, see, that's fuel, it already has it obviously. This is just receiving fuel from the belts anyways, so we can be pretty cheeky about that. Just put a nice little splitter there. And attach the fuel into that and to that. So whatever those things are, they'll all have fuel. The plastic production just coincidentally has fuel. Alright, then this is the canister production, so it is going to need to be fueled. And I think it should be fine to just put the floor hole in here. I think the way these are working is the vehicles are like coming in here and then splitting around this way, so they shouldn't ever need to pass through this area. Alright, so then that goes up there and belts into the fuel. And we don't need fuel on that input side. That's fine. What is this? This is inputting empty canisters for... Alright, so this is the ore stop. And it's annoying because its fuel input is actually on this side instead of the other. So we can't just put the floor hole in the middle of the street, obviously. That would be bad. So what I think we need to do is bring the fuel up and over. Just a very silly way of getting anything to anywhere. And why will it not stop on top of the wall? Alright, I have to put floor in there. So then that comes out to there. And then that gets a floor hole. which rises up there. And that connects in. Now the iron ore can be fueled. And then final step would be the iron ingots. So let's head over here. Which one of these is the iron ingot input? That's canister output, which is fine. Alright, the iron ingots output is this one over here, which is currently unlabeled. Let me fix that real quick. Alright, so then those are conveniently already set to the correct icon. So we just need to copy that one and bring it over here and paste and paste, and it is output iron ingots, iron ingots, and Control C, Control V, done. And now we need to fuel this. So then that goes up and in. Alright, we have all the floor holes. Now we just need to connect all the floor holes up, which is probably going to be very easy to miss one. Alright, so let's get down here. And there's a flashlight button, right? Yes. It doesn't really help, but oh well. So now we just get to play the fun little mini game of find all of the floor holes. Alright, there's one. There's probably... It's actually so hard to find them down here. Alright, one of them is probably going to be like amidst all the nonsense at the iron ore stop, which is going to make it difficult to find. Alright, there it is. Alright, so we have that. Bring it out over here. Apparently I've already done something similar to this. What is all this? Alright, not gonna worry about that. Just gonna get that. Actually, I am gonna worry about this because I'm curious. Oh right, this is the canister return. Alright, so we can bring that in here and then head over here, and then we can split. We can use a splitter to combine all of these in reverse anyway. Alright, so then that hooks up like that and goes there, there, and there. Alright, let's see if we can find any more. I think I'll bring this belt over this way while we do. Alright. Should be a couple more in this vicinity. This is the fuel output itself. And I guess the other one would be at this oil stop back here. So let's do that. Bring that there. And put that splitter in. So now we connect that up there. We bring this all the way over here so that now we can bring fuel from there into those 3 stops. And I believe there is another fuel stop over here. Sure enough, there is. But why is it facing that way? I want it to face this way. So now this can come over here. And the amount of fuel I will need for all of this should be relatively minimal. So Mark 1 belt should be fine. Should be way more than enough. Now, is there fuel stop over there? No. There's that one, which we did. There's this one, which we did. There's that one, which we got. Alright, I think that should be fuel distributed to everything that needs it. And now we just need to, first off, well, kickstart production of things. And then start connecting everything together. So the first thing we need to start is fuel. So if I put fuel into this, let's just grab a bunch of stacks of that, and sure, one of them can go into that one. So that should be now filling that the entire fuel network. And also incidentally introducing a couple of canisters in, although that's not really the goal there. Alright, so with that, then, speaking of canisters, we need to grab some of these. And apparently we are not getting any dimensional storage canisters anymore, which is a bit worrying. We should be. Alright, let's start running the transportation lines. So we need packaged water. Let's do packaged water first. And it needs to go to oil over there and iron ingots over there. Gosh, this place is kind of a maze. Like, the streets aren't quite regular. So it'll probably be fine, though. Alright, so we get a truck, because I want to see if trucks will even work. So we get a truck. and we give it some fuel. Actually, speaking of giving it some fuel, these should be getting fuel, right? Those underground belts should be running to here. Yeah, they're making it here slowly, of course. Alright, so this has some fuel to start off. So we can... I guess it would be better just to start on the main road like this. And okay, you know what I need to do is I need to make sure that stuff like this doesn't exist. So these need to be wider, or at least have something on the other end to stop you from like just running out of space and crashing. Alright, so that is the fuel setup, which needs water. So yeah, fuel setup there needs water, and iron ore setup over here needs water. So let's try to run both of those with one truck. Alright, start recording. In we go. We load cargo there. We come out around here very carefully. Ah, I've discovered a problem. We're gonna cross the starting line here. And, yeah, okay. So, delete that. Alright, now we're stuck. Now we are stuck. Yeah, I think trucks are going to be too much trouble. We're going to go with tractors. And we'll start in here. And we're going to give you a little bit of fuel. Start recording. So we load cargo there. We go around the edge. And then onto the main road. Then we go along this way until we encounter input packaged water. Then we go in here. We trigger that one. We're gonna have to set that to unload later, but it's fine. Alright, then we get back out onto the main road again. And now we go along this way. I feel like I may have taken a wrong turn at some point. Alright. Where's the fuel? Alright, the fuel is there. Yeah, so I should have taken a U-turn back there, but it's fine. So now I just have to make the U-turn here. And we go in there. And then we come out this way. And drive back to the start, please. Alright. We sort of missed it a little bit, but probably not in a way that's a problem. So, if we save this path as packaged water loop, and we save that, and we hide the path nodes, and we enable autopilot, fuel will just go off. And we need to set these guys to unload. Set that to unload. I guess set that to unload as well, though it doesn't really matter. And then go over and set the fuel to unload. Alright, so then we get over here, we set this to unload. And that is the first truck in our new system, but it isn't doing anything. So the next thing we need to do is packaged oil to fuel, which is just there to there. So let's get a tractor in for that. Let's give him some starting fuel. And off we go. Load there, we loop around this edge. Then we go there and there. And down this road. Then we turn here. Make the same U-turn as the other guy is making. And we're going to have to stay behind him for a bit. Alright. And then we turn in here. We trigger that one. And we are back off onto this road, where we take a right and then a right and then another U-turn, and we'll be back. Alright, so far so good. Alright, there's that. And in. Save path as oil for fuel. And enable autopilot, hide path nodes, off you go. And I should just be setting all of these to the right thing whenever I'm next to them. So this and this. Alright. So now I have that line going. I'm bringing oil to fuel. Now I need to bring the fuel over to the plastic. Where is the plastic production? Is that this one here? No. Plastic production, where are you? Oh, it's literally the next stop down. Okay, that's easy. So this is the fuel output. So we load this tractor up. Give it some fuel to start with. Start recording here. Load there. Okay, I've discovered a critical flaw. Alright, stop recording, delete the path, and dismantle you. So first, we need to be able to get onto that road from here. And that should be the only upgrade we need, right? Just go from there to there. Take a... Yeah, so we have to go down to the end, take a U-turn back, and then... It's a little indirect, but it works. Alright, so then you get that. Start recording. You load there. Wait, actually no. It's supposed to turn this way. Alright, that wasn't actually necessary at all. Alright, and then we just drive in here. We will unload there. And then come back onto this street where we hang a left. And then go around this same intersection, take a U-turn here, just like all the rest of them are doing. Come on. Hurry it up, Slowpoke. Alright. And then we drive in there. And we save that as fuel for plastic. Enable autopilot, hide path nodes. Off you go, and that is set to outgoing. This needs to be set to incoming. Load that. Alright, now we have that. Which means the next step is bringing the plastic to the containers. So this is the plastic output there. The containers output is just up there. We're going to need to extend this road out just a little bit. So we extend that road out there. And then we need it to come to an intersection up here. Which should be that line up. Yep, alright, cool. So then plastic output goes out onto this road and then up and then over. And then, alright, cool. I know where we're headed. That page scrolled for some reason, which I didn't want it to. Alright. So then that gets us some starting fuel. Start recording. We load the plastic there. Come out onto this road. Make a nice quick U-turn. And here we hang a left. And then a right. And this is the plastic input. So we stop there, unload. Then we come back out and continue going this way. And now we take a U-turn here. And we wait for that guy to pass. Then we turn here. And we make it back to this. Alright, then we save this as plastic to canisters and enable autopilot, hide path nodes, and send it off. And I didn't drive to the one that was already hooked up, but that's an easy fix. So this just needs a merger and a belt going into that. Alright, so now we have canister production. Now we need to run the whole canister loop. So this is the canister input, right? It doesn't actually put into these yet. Alright, so let's hook those up like that. It's in dismantle mode blueprint. Can't find that. Alright. So we need to send this up a bit. Alright. So yeah, like that. And just up there. And that goes into there. And then that comes from there, and alright, that should be fine. So now we just need to run the giant canister return loop with all of the different canister returns involved. Which is, there's one at iron, there's one at fuel, there's going to be one at plastic. Or is that it? Iron, fuel, plastic. There's, yeah, that should be it for now, at least. Let's just head over here to this road to see. Do I see any red canisters? Alright, so there's the fuel over there. Because iron takes water, fuel takes water, plastic takes fuel. All the rest of those should be inputs. Alright, so we are headed there, there, and to iron. And we are starting at this unlabeled... Hang on, I gotta label this. Billboard. Alright, so let's get... I assume there are signs on this. Alright, so this is canister return, so let's make it green, I guess. And the symbol is going to be canister, and the text is going to be canister return. Control C, Control V. Alright, canister return now labeled. So, we get our tractor in. We need to fuel it up first. And start recording. Alright, so then we go out this way and around. And the first stop is the iron ingot canister return. So that's over this way. And in here. And around. And out. And then we come here and we loop around. And then we drive up this way. And come along here to this intersection where we cut that guy off because we were in a rush. Alright, so then we stop here, load that cargo, come out and around. And then we take this right here. And we stop here at this empty canister's output. We grab them. We loop back in through this alley. Then out here. And around. And we stopped at all of the stops. We just need to make it back to the return properly, which is right here. Alright. And then return in there. And we save that as canister return. Enable autopilot, hide path nodes. This first one needs to be set to unload. Alright, so now we just need to take the canisters from here and then send them to all the places that need them, which is water packaging, oil packaging, and I think that's it. I think that's it as far as places that need empty canisters. So oil packaging is way back there. Water packaging is right here, right? Yeah, that's the empty canisters input on this side. So we go here, we go there. We need some floor there to drive on. Does this go to any particular one? Looks like it goes to both. Alright. So then we'll just go on to this right one first. Pop down our tractor. Give it some starter fuel. And start recording. So we load up there. Then we squeeze around the outside. Then we take a U-turn here. And we turn in there to drop off the empty canisters. Then we take this turn around here through this alley. And now we are on this road, which takes us down to the oil packaging. And so we loop around here. And we loop around here. And into this. So we unload there. Then we go down this. And out here. And... Alright. I may have gotten turned around. But I think we just head down this way, and then this is it here. Yep, here it is. Alright. Enable autopilot. Hide path nodes. Save that path as canister loop. And send you off. Okay, now I just need to make sure this is set to unload. Alright, that's that. Now, in theory, this should all get started. And all I have to do is just keep putting stuff in. So, let's see. I have fuel, right? So if I grab that, and I run that into this, it should distribute it amongst everything. And then also bring some to this, which should make plastic out of it, and also release the empty canisters. And theoretically, this should all be starting to happen. Alright. Now, the obvious problem is that these vehicles are starting to run out of fuel. Which I was hoping would take a little bit longer. But there you go. Have fun. Why are you doing that? Alright, so how is the fuel supply going? It is very, very empty. Alright, that's expected. So I think we head over to the old factory and we grab some junk from over there and throw that in. There should be a lot of backup fuel over there that I can use to really properly jumpstart this. And let's see, that would be this. Yeah, so if I just grab all of this, then move it over to the other one, that should get everything kick-started into motion. I almost said motion. That's not a word. Alright, so just have to get over there to the fuel output. And basically what we're doing here is simulating that this factory is running by just putting stuff manually into its output. So we can actually just click that a whole bunch of times. And that should get things moving. Assuming none of the other tractors give up. I'm going to make this faster. Just so that, like, it physically takes less time. Like, because these are some pretty large distances. I would like the package, the fuel reinforcements to make it before everything runs out. So we do that. Alright, that has filled up with fuel, and it's going to take it all over to the plastic factory, which should be running. Yeah, look at this. This is the plastic factory, right? And it is getting a supply of empty canisters, which should be going to the canister return, and everything should be good. Alright. Still no plastic producing yet. In fact, does it need to be jump started? It might need to be jump started. No, these are running. There's plastic in the machines. All right. And hopefully nothing else isn't working, but we are making plastic. We should be outputting plastic. That plastic should be going to the canisters to make new ones. Speaking of fuel, I may have accidentally used all of mine. Alright. Everything is starting to look good. Alright, pretty much the rest of the stream is just going to be monitoring this and seeing if anything isn't working properly. So as far as the fuel distribution goes, as far as the canister return goes, how is that working at the moment? Do we have any empty canisters here? No, we have some fuel. Outgoing transfer rate, 53 items a minute. There were empty canisters there at some point in the past. It's good to see fuel is showing up. So these machines, if the tractors haven't already run out of fuel, they should be stable for now. Just checking, you're sitting awkwardly still in the middle of the road. Have some fuel. And where were you going? Down to do something at some point. It's hard to say. Looks like you're pulling into the packaged water input. Yeah, that makes sense. Alright. Is this working? We should... Alright. The fuel supplies have been entirely drained and probably almost entirely moved over to here, where they should hopefully still just be sitting. Yep. They're just sitting there. That's probably fine. Now, we might run out of fuel again. Which would be quite awkward. Let's set those up. Just to give another couple stacks into that whole system, which... Yeah, it's only going at Mark 1 speed. Let's see if we can accelerate that up to Mark II speed. And I'm not sure if these belts are going to be fast enough. They are. Alright, so the whole thing is now pumping fuel down here at Mark II speed, which should be good. We might need to go pick up another batch of fuel just to make sure, like, we top off that, because yeah, we should probably go do that. And if there isn't enough fuel, we can grab a whole bunch of empty canisters and throw those in, and that should also help kickstart things even further. Obviously not into the fuel side, but into the canister return, I guess. Would be decent to just test that that works the way I think it does. Alright, we overshot it. The fuel is this one, I think. Yep. Alright, so let's grab all of that. And then also find the source of, I guess, packaged water is a perfectly valid source of canisters. So we'll grab a whole bunch of these. Alright, and then we head back over to the factory and we throw some more of the stuff in. So hopefully this, I'm not sure how long it'll take this to fully stabilize and like trickle around the loop and get everything working. Hopefully not too long. Alright, so you get a whole bunch of packaged fuel. And then we also have all of this water, which can go just over here, right? So this goes into this. And why is it maximum transfer rate of only 3 stacks a minute? I mean, that's probably plenty, but it should be more than that, right? Surely. Alright. So we have that. So if we have any packaged oil, then that'll get started. And that's kind of an inconvenient thing to add in because it doesn't really start anything by itself. So this is the plastic production. And it is definitely producing plastic. Also, I keep throwing all of my fuel into the system. So we definitely have plastic production happening. I'm not convinced that it's full speed. Is that... There's no way that that's 60 items a minute, right? Or whatever it is supposed to be. Alright. You are short on rubber for no obvious reason. Alright, does this just not work? Like, what? Alright. Please. Oh, I forgot to... I don't even know why that is a smart splitter. It doesn't need to be. But There we go. That should get this running again then. Which should start trickling plastic into the system at a faster rate than that was. So yeah, that would have been just like 15 or 30 a minute. So now we're up to 90 a minute, which should get that going a fair bit quicker. And now we follow the plastic. Over here is this getting plastic input. So far 0, so far 0. And if I check the belts, will that also be true? Nothing on any of the belts. Why not? Alright, here's the vehicle. Has the plastic production just started recently? Is that the problem? So this... Oh, did I not set that... Did I not set these to unload? That could be it. I might need... Yeah. Alright, I need to do that. I need to do that. And hopefully there are no more problems like that. It's relatively simple to check. You just go to anything green and it should be set to unload. Alright. So that's all set. And now this should get plastic. Yep. Look at that. We've got plastic going up. Which means we are now getting a supply of new canisters. So that's great. And all these ones I put in packaged water are probably just sitting here doing nothing. Yeah. Now, the next thing... So we could go back to the old factory and grab more to jumpstart it. But I kind of want to just let it spin up itself. Like, without much more external assistance. It should be cooking now that we're producing canisters. It should really properly start to go. As long as we don't run out of fuel. That is the big worry, which seems like it's going to happen in the short term. We need to just keep dumping all of our fuel into that. Because all the fuel production we have currently is being diverted directly into this. I think probably we have never gotten enough empty canisters to output any packaged oil. Yep. Empty canisters have never gotten that far. So I guess what I could do is go grab some packaged oil so that we actually have fuel production going. And if the fuel is being produced at a steady rate instead of just being dumped in all at once every so often, that should be fine. It should spread it out so more of it gets down into the refueling system as opposed to right now where it's going into like exclusively the plastic production. So let's get over here. Grab a whole bunch of stacks of packaged oil. And just a full inventory full. And how's the fuel production looking? There's a bit left in there, but not really enough to make much of a difference. So let's get over there and put some packaged oil in and get the fuel production started. Alright, packaged oil right here. And in you go. Not into the fuel tank. That's probably fine, I guess. I don't think it'll break anything to be like that. Let's take it out just to be sure. So now we have our packaged water and we have our crude oil, which means we should produce fuel now. And we have lots and lots of stacks, so it should last a fair amount of time. So hopefully that happens. Alright. Bit of a wreck there, but they recovered just fine. And there goes the packaged oil in, and there come the canisters out. Let's grab another couple stacks of that. And I see a lot of canisters coming out. I don't see any fuel coming out yet, which should happen soon. I don't see it, but it should be coming. Alright, well, it's 4:33. I don't want to make a habit of having shorter streams, so I guess we're just going to hang out observing the factory for a bit. Plastic production still doesn't look lightning fast. Let's just verify. It probably is working. That's 100%. That's 100%. That's 100%. And that's 100%. Alright, cool. So now we have that. Which means this should be... Yeah, this is also getting a steady supply of plastic. Which means empty canisters are being produced, and the more empty canisters we have, the more of everything we can move around, which means everything speeds up even more. So having a steady supply of these is great. And the return seems to be functioning. I'll know it's functioning when they start coming up through this. They don't seem to be, though. Okay, they're all going over here for some reason. Did I mess up attaching this side? Wait, did I just see one? Oh, it's industrial storage bin nonsense. Yeah, it does that, where it just, for no good reason, preferentially sends it to one of the outputs of the industrial storage bin. Alright. But that's fine, though. We can deal with that. I think this is the one we want them to be going to anyway. Because I don't think that one has a truck network set up to it at the moment. And there's this. Outputs the empty canisters. Into all the things that need empty canisters. And I can also see steady supply of fuel going in and then instantly getting taken back out to go onto the fuel network, it looks like. Yeah. So with this setup, there shouldn't be any significant risk of tractors running out of juice, unless they already have and are just sitting there somewhere helplessly. Hopefully I'll notice that. And eventually that should probably fill up, but it'll take a while. And water is depleting. The crude oil is slowly depleting. Alright. Let's head over... What do I think is going to get the canisters first? That one has 100 fuel, by the way. That's nice. Alright. 0 there in terms of canisters. I'm going to have to wait on that. So I guess that means that the water packaging is getting first dibs on the empty canisters. Actually, probably the iron is. No, wait. The iron doesn't get empty canisters. The iron uses empty canisters. If I check in here, yeah. Alright. Now why is that not doing anything? This is water packaging, right? Okay, water packaging seems to not be functioning. Why? Because of a lack of water. How is there a lack of water? There's quite clearly plenty of water in these pipes. Is water flowing through this? It looks like it is. Is it just not going fast enough? Okay, it looks like 0 water is going down. Alright, why is the water getting to this point and then just giving up? It's like not even filling that pipe, like half filling it. Is there an easy way to get underground here? Alright, that should be good for like 50 meters. And it's clearly not. Alright, so that should be good for like 50 meters. Maybe if I just put another guy there and power it on, it'll make it the rest of the way. Because this should be like 400 some flow rate. Like, it should be a lot. Alright, the instant I put that in, it just completely ran out. Did I put that in the wrong way? Alright, try putting it a little bit lower. Head lift 0. But why? If I get rid of that, clean 0 water in the pipe. What on earth is going on with the stupid water pipes. This one seems to be doing something. Alright, I don't understand how the water was getting up there and is now no longer. Maybe if I just take that pipe out and put it back in. Alright, well that didn't work. And it may have caused some problems. It might cause problems for that, for the tractors that come through here. Alright, let's see if maybe, like, it isn't connected on this side or something. Alright, now this whole thing is just plain not flowing anymore. Or flowing very, very slowly. Alright. If we do that, and so we know there's water in this pipe section, so it can definitely reach at least as high as that. And that should be pumping it up. And then there's water in this pipe section. And if I flush it, it refills almost instantly. Or at least, does it? Yeah. Alright. Maybe just moving that pump around magically fixed it. It's always a possibility with water because water is interesting. Nope, it hasn't. Alright, so let's put another Mark II pump up there, right where it was last time, approximately, and power it on. Alright, it's giving very, very tiny values for head lift. Why? Fluid mechanics, why are you like this? It's genuinely just so incredibly frustrating. Like, what is going on? There's plenty of water. There should be plenty of head lift. And yet it seems to just not be doing anything. This has got to be a bug, right? Like, there's no world in which this is some intended mechanic that I'm just misusing. Because now water isn't even getting into this pipe. what if I just flush the entire network? The water goes up. Is this... Oh, is this the problem? Like, I don't know, maybe that's not... Maybe that looked like it connected, but it wasn't for some reason. Alright, let's have it like that. So if any water gets into this pipe, then we'll know that there's enough head lift to get up to at least here. No, it just simply isn't flowing from this pipe into this one. Alright, what if I put a pipeline junction and then connect it up that way? Alright, this is at least getting water. So, like, what? Is this thing just you can't connect two pipe segments at one of these? Like... Genuinely, that is my conclusion here, right? So if I put Mark 1 pipeline pump there, that should be enough to at least get it up to here-ish. Alright, wait. I think we're cooking. And then if we put Mark II there, alright, the pump is definitely pumping. Is showing a flow rate of 600. I think whatever it is we've done here has worked, it seems. Now it's very annoying that I had to do all that because it was literally working before. Like, water was getting into these machines previously. And it was fine. Alright, well, not going to complain too much about it. The important thing is that it worked. So we have all that going. This still has some fuel to make plastic with. And theoretically, this should fill up, right? Like 60 fuel a minute or 120 fuel a minute especially should be way too much. More than this needs. It's also very clearly not going at 120 fuel per minute. Is that a bug with the actual production itself? You know, was the production itself supposed to go at 120? I remember it doing that for some reason. It should be 120. Why are you half as good as advertised? Alright. You're not using all of your heavy oil residue. You're not using... Well, you're using barely all of yours. you are using 30 a minute. And this is 50% because the output... Alright, probably a Mark 1 belt somewhere in this whole output chain that's slowing the whole thing down. Like you, for instance, look like you're Mark 1. Alright, you are, but the bottom side of that conveyor lift also appears to be Mark 1. Let's get down and fix that. Alright, so now you are Mark 2. And now the whole thing is working properly, outputting at 120 a minute. Nice. Another significant improvement. And part of the reason this is good is just because it recycles more of those canisters. Like, we need the canisters recycling faster. Rather than just sitting around being useless. And also the fact that we are now outputting a significant supply of fuel. 120 a minute we should be getting quite close to filling up. I'm pretty sure I checked earlier and this one was full. Yeah, so that one is full. Then we have these three, and it is already starting to backpile. In fact, it's basically done. So this will obviously occasionally use one, but for the most part, yeah, the whole thing has stopped, and now we do have fuel production that is just going into the output and staying there, and then being sent over to plastic. Fantastic. Alright. I'm going to put some more in there, just to say I did. And I don't have any empty canisters in the dimensional storage. And I don't have... The only package thing I have is fuel. So at this point, it's either wait for it to run, and it should fill itself up. Like, this is outputting canisters pretty decent rate. What even is this? What factory even is this? Yeah, this is the actual canister factory itself. So it's outputting a good solid 100-some a minute. This one is just being filled up with junk, which I guess we should take those canisters and we can manually move them somewhere useful, like oil packaging. Or actually, if we move them to water packaging, that will help. It'll help that backlog faster, which will overall help everything gets fully situated first. And this is the input for that, right? No, that is the output for packaged water. Alright, where is the water packaging system? It takes its canisters from back here. So this, yep, sure enough, filled with canisters. Let's throw some more in. So eventually that will fill, and once that will fill, then the oil starts to fill. Alright, it is 4:55. So it's about time to end the stream. good amount of just hanging out, watching the new factory fill up, but it is officially functional. We haven't turned on the iron production just yet. We will do that soon. And then we will have iron ingot production as well. And are any of these getting... No. Alright, so yeah, I will be back tomorrow playing Magic the Gathering. So if you're interested in that, check me out then. Otherwise, I'll be back on Wednesday, 2 to 5, same time as usual, play more Satisfactory. And tomorrow we are going to, well, probably let it fill up a fair amount off stream in the meantime, but tomorrow we are going to finish any bug fixing, like last minute changes to this, and then we will run the iron ore route, get that running. I don't have it running now because I just want everything to fill up. And if we have this taking packaged water, it's just going to take forever for the packaged water to fill up, which means it'll take forever for the packaged oil to fill up. So currently we're waiting on that, but yeah, I believe that's about it. So yeah, we'll see you tomorrow or Wednesday.